Over the past 6 months, there has been a lot of uproar from the Manchester United fan base on the formation of Ruben Amorim, if Manchester United should be able to switch to a back four or a back three. But these were the same fans that wanted a back three where Manchester United were playing in the 4-3-3 formation shape. So is the formation of Ruben Amorim the issue of Manchester United, or is this personnel based, or is this structural based? So in this video, we're going to be talking about all the structural issues that Ruben Amorim has been committing, or all the structural issues Manchester United face in games, especially in the past 5 games of the Premier League this season, especially in the City game. So guys, let's dive into this video together. So long before Ruben Amorim became the coach of Manchester United, one of the issues Manchester United has been facing is that we actually look good on paper, but when you go into the field, Manchester United look a very different team. So in the case of Ruben Amorim, Manchester United don't just look a certain way on paper and a certain way on the pitch. Manchester United play with a strong conviction in the first phase, in the second phase, in the defensive phase, in the pressing phase. So this is not the case of Manchester United looking good on paper and then when you go onto the pitch we look a certain way. Manchester United play with a definitive pattern in every phase of play, like you see on the screen. But one of the issues of Manchester United has been the execution of the system of Ruben Amorim. It has been the adaptability of the player to the system. It has been sort of structural base and personnel base. So guys, we are going to be talking on how Manchester United has been really bad structurally and how City actually exploited Manchester United in the Manchester derby. So before we talk about the structural base or the structural system of Manchester United, we want to look at the individuals that has been used by Ruben Amorim to play these games. So when you're talking about the individuals, let's start from the first phase. We all know that Manchester United build up with a back three with 2 players going into the pivot, one of the centre back moving to the pivot to form a 2-man midfield shape. So this is how Manchester United build up. So let's look at how Manchester United build up from the back. You know that 2 central backs split wide with the goalkeeper making it 3-man at the back. So when Shaw and Leny Yoro split wide, are this player really good in build-up? Leny Yoro is only the player that is good in build-up phase. Shaw was partly part of the players that built up when Etihad was the coach of Manchester United. But we all know that Shaw is not the best ball-playing defender that you could have in your team. So Leny Yoro in that 2-man shape is the only good ball-playing player. Then if you go to the midfield shape, Matthias De Ligt steps into the midfield alongside Manuel Ugarte. These are players that are uncomfortable playing with their back to goal. These are players that cannot play with their back to goal. They are not the best ball-playing players. So how can the system work when the players that are being fielded are fielded in the wrong position? Players are played in the wrong position. And if players are being fielded in the wrong position, there's no way any system of any manager is going to work. So if you're going over to the wing-back position, that game we started with Doku and Mazraoui on the left and the right-hand side respectively. Doku is still young and raw and he does not possess all it takes to play in the left wing back position in any 3-4-3 system, because when you play in the 3-4-3 system, the wing backs are actual wingers. They play like actual wingers. They have this very high decision making. They have this ability to cross very well. They have this ability to take on goal scoring opportunities. Players that should be playing in the wing-back position in a 3-4-3 system should be established wing-backs and not role wing-backs, because you're going to find out that Dogu's limitation comes a lot when it comes to decision-making, scoring of goals and crosses. And if you look at when Ruben Amorim was in Sporting Lisbon, he was playing his left wing-back role with Nuno Santos, and Nuno Santos was a very established player. He was good in crossing, he was good in going forward, he was good in joining attack, he was also good in defending. So these were the characteristics of players that Ruben Amorim had in his wing-back position when he was in Sporting Lisbon, and also in his right wing-back position probably before he left. Quinda was the one playing the right wing-back position, and Quinda was a left footer. Ruben Amorim likes to play his left wing-back position with a left footer, and so Quinda was very, very crucial to how Ruben Amorim wanted to play. Quinda was very used to pinning opposition fullbacks down the pitch. He was good in taking on players, he was good in dribbling, he was good in crossing. So these are the characteristics that the wing backs of Ruben Amorim possesses when he was in Sporting Lisbon. And so you go over to Manchester United, he has Doku on the left hand side, which is not refined, which is not going to give you the characteristics that you need in the left wing back position. And then you move to the right hand side, there is Nusaya Mazraoui that has not really performed well in that right wing back position. so far under Ruben Amorim, Nusa Mazraoui has been able to perform very well when he plays in the right central back position and not the right wing back position. So that is another player that is not comfortable in the position that he plays. So how does the system work? Going into the midfield position, you're going to find out that Bruno Fernandes is not a central midfielder. It doesn't work by playing Bruno Fernandes in the central midfield position. It failed in the preseason. It has already failed in the first 4 to 5 games of the season. That tells you that Bruno Fernandes is not a central midfielder, and a lot needs to happen and a lot needs to change, because the more you play the wrong players in the wrong position, the more structurally you're going to be exposed, the more tactically you're going to be exposed. So this is what Manchester United are facing. The only players that are playing the role that are comfortable in is definitely Benjamin Sesko and Bryan Mbeumo. If you look at the Man City game, Amad Diallo was playing in the left-hand position. Amad Diallo is not a left-hand. He doesn't work in the left-hand position, but he was fielded in the left-hand position. At some point, he interchanged with Bryan Mbeumo, but you're going to find out that based on this system and position, they could not effectively function. And you're going to find out that also when deeper in the game, where Bryan Mbeumo and Amad Diallo was shifted to their original position, that was when Manchester United got on the play. That was when Manchester United created most of the chances, when Manchester United created a lot of the attacking sequence. This was because these players were used in their natural positions. So this tells you that in as much as the tactics of Ruben Amorim has been failing, and in as much as Manchester United has a lot of structural issues, and Manchester United has been exploited a lot by big teams and also small teams, you're going to find out that first, before you talk about the tactics, the individuals that are being used in the field are being played in the wrong position. They are not being fielded in the position that they are comfortable in. So this makes it very difficult for the tactics of any manager to come into play. So guys, let's now look at the structural state of Manchester United when they played Manchester City. So as usual, Manchester United started off in the first phase with 3-man back with 2 midfielders in the pivot, like one of the centre back going into the midfield positions. And you're going to find out that when Atabeyanda holds the ball, Manchester United are going to form like a 4 versus 3 overload in the middle of the park, which made Manchester United to be overcrowded in the middle of the park. Manchester United were very compact in the middle of the park. At some point, Rodri was up against 2 players, and it was very hard for Rodri to operate. Manchester United actually nullified the central progression by giving Rodri Hernandez 2 men, and it was very, very hard for City to progress. So what City were looking to do was that they were looking to press Manchester United very aggressively to make Manchester United not be able to play out from the back. And so when they do this, it's actually an advantage for Manchester United, because there's going to be lots of space on the left flank for both Nusa Mazraoui and Doku to get on the ball. But Manchester United were not able to give those long passes to Nusa Mazraoui and Doku. Most of the times when Manchester United finally played that long ball to either Nusa Mazraoui or Doku, what Pep Guardiola was looking to do was that he squeezed his backline to be able to adjust to that particular sequence of Manchester United. So that was sorted out by Pep Guardiola by simply adjusting his back 3 to overcrowd Manchester United whenever they shift the ball to either parts of the pitch. So let's look at how Manchester City actually exploited Manchester United, because they won the game. They were very dominant. They won 3-0. So this is not really by chance or by a block, but this was a match that was won based on clear dominance by Manchester City. So you're going to find out that in the first phase, Manchester usually starts in their 4-3-3 shape. But what Ruben Amorim was looking to do was that he was very compact in the middle of the park. He was very, very compact. So it was very hard for Rodri Hernandez or Manchester City to, nullify Manchester United overall. So what Pep Guardiola looked to do was that he inverted Matt O'Reilly into the midfield position. So that gave Manchester City a central man all the time to be able to give that pass in the midfield area. And because when Manchester United midfielder looked to take that risk, probably like Bruno Fernandes looks to take that risk to press Rodri Hernandez to nullify the central progression of Manchester City, to make Rodri Hernandez not be able to turn and give that final third passes, it is going to be an advantage to City in the sense of that when Bruno Fernandes presses aggressively, it is going to leave large of spaces in behind for Matt O'Reilly that is inverting in the middle of the park to receive that second ball. But what Ruben Amorim was looking to do was that he dropped Bryan Mbeumo or Amad Diallo most of the times to cut out that central passing lanes that Matt O'Reilly was giving Manchester United in the midfield position. So what Pep did instead was that he kept Matt O'Reilly very wide, and he was using Doku and Phil Foden to drop into the central regions. With Doku dropping, that is a winger that is playing wide, dropping into the central regions, and with Foden dropping also into the central region, it is going to cause Leny Yoro to drop deep. And when Leny Yoro drops deep, it's going to be hard for him to pick out either Phil Foden or Jeremy Doku. And so this becomes very hard for Manchester United, because this is going to cause Erling Haaland and Phil Foden to run that space in behind that is going to be vacated by Leny Yoro. And so this was how Manchester United were exploited. And even if Phil Foden and Erling Haaland cannot be able to run in behind, Jeremy Doku is a player that is very tenacious, is very skillful, so he can be able to dribble Leny Yoro or any Manchester United player to create that space in behind. And that was how the second goal of Manchester City came in that game. So guys, we all know that Amorim relies on an extremely aggressive press, and when this press fails, which has failed most of the time this season, it is going to leave the backline of Manchester United to be exposed. And this has been the reason why the abilities of Leny Yoro and Matthias de Ligt has been questioned a lot of times in Manchester United. Not that they are not good players, but because of the system that Ruben Amorim plays, because of the structural execution of the 3-4-3 of Manchester United, it makes Manchester United to be exposed, and this has really been exploited by teams. Manchester United can be able to use this pressing structure against smaller teams, but against allied teams like Manchester City that has a lot of quality to hunt Manchester United, you can't use this pressing structure, you can't use this execution when you're playing against big teams like Manchester City. And if Ruben Amorim does not resolve these structural issues of Manchester United, you're going to find out that Manchester United are going to be struggling a lot against bigger opposition, and you're going to find out that many times in the midfield positions, Manchester City at some point created a 4 versus 2 overload, a 4 versus 3 overload, and because of Ata Beyanda is not a good ball playing goalkeeper, he doesn't give a lot of short passes most of the time. He prioritizes long balls. This makes Manchester United not to have a lot of man in the midfield, because if Ata Beyanda always holds the ball and play like a ball playing goalkeeper, Manchester United are going to have a 4 versus 3 overload in the middle of the park, just like they had at the beginning of the game. But because of that limitation, Manchester United cannot be able to create the overload, and most of the times Manchester City had a lot of space in the midfield to exploit. So like I say again, the formation of Manchester United is not the problem, but it is the personnel that has been used to execute this formation, and it is also the structural issues that Ruben Amorim needs to sort. Because if a personnel that is used to play a particular role is not suited to that role, it is going to create a structural issues. It's going to create a lot of spaces in the opposition half. It's going to create a lot of space for the opposition to exploit. So this has been the issue of Manchester United and not the formation. The way Ruben Amorim has executed his 3-4-3 formation has not suited the player of Manchester United, and the individuals that are used to play certain roles that are not comfortable. And if an individual is being used to play a role that is not comfortable, it is not going to make the system of any manager to work. So guys, I want you guys to give me your thoughts on if you feel Ruben Amorim is going to change things up, just like he has already said that he's not going to change his philosophy, and if Manchester United wants a change, they should change the manager. So I want you guys to give me your thoughts on the comment section. I want you guys to like, to share, to subscribe to Tactical Trafford, as we'll be making more analysis on all the matches of Manchester United. So see you guys in my next video. Ciao.